What's up, guys? Dodgers Randy here. I'm at the stadium. It's about 11:30, so obviously way earlier. Don't need to be at the game this early. But today they're having a season ticket holder luncheon. They didn't do this last year. Not everybody got to come. This year, the season ticket holders, they got tickets to do events that they could come to. We get 8 of them. At least I did. I don't know how it works for everyone else. But you get to use them for special events, and this is one of them. So they're gonna have some Dodger dogs. I don't know if there'll be other food, whatever the case may be, but Dave Roberts is gonna be here. I don't think there's gonna be anyone else here like that, but I could be wrong, I'm not sure. But this is new. They just started doing it this year, so I know nothing about it, but I thought I'd bring you guys along and we'll see how this is. And then obviously we'll get to the game later tonight. So there's a long line of people right now going in through Stadium Club, and we'll see from there. So the lunch is being held in the Stadium Club. They provided food, like good food. Roberts will be right up there. Should have got here a little bit earlier to get a better seat, but it is what it is. Just happy to be here, so hopefully this gets started soon. It's got almost everyone here, but pretty cool so far.
You've got Mayor Norris Paulson just hoping and crossing their fingers. And it turns out, we all know the rest of the story. For the last 63 years, nothing has been the same as far as on the West Coast, in Los Angeles, Southern California, and the Bay Area. And how amazing the Dodgers and the Giants, not just coming here in 1958, but having a rivalry that dates back to the 1880s. And so this is the really cool thing to be able to have. And Dave Roberts, our guest coming up, and you'll be able to ask some questions at the end of our conversation. Just imagine, what are the odds that Dave Roberts is going to be a member of each side of that rivalry? He joined the Dodgers in 2002 after, anybody remember who he made his Major League debut for? Come on, any Dave Roberts fans? Indians. That is right, 1999 to 2001. Remember the Cleveland Indians. 2002 to 2004 with the Dodgers, Red Sox in 2004, and then he goes off to the Padres and then the Giants, and he ends up with the Giants. And I'll ask him as far as trivia, but did you know that Dave Roberts' last Major League game in 2008 was against the Dodgers as a player? And he came to bat in the 8th inning as a pinch hitter, and he missed by 1 inning pitching, playing against the pitcher, an up-and-comer, Clayton Kershaw. So how amazing would that have been to be able to have, go to the video, go to the archives, and have Clayton Kershaw versus Dave Roberts, and he missed it by 1 inning. But when you look at the Dave Roberts career, and Dave Roberts is slowly making his way to the front, so as he slowly makes his way to the front, let's hear it for the manager of the Dodgers. I was just giving the good folks the background as far as they all knew that a lot of Dave Roberts fans. I said, who did he make his Major League debut in 1999? The response was deafening. They all yelled Cleveland. Yeah, have a seat. And we were just mentioning, I don't know if you heard it when you came in, but your last Major League game, 2008, you're a pinch hitter, you get a base hit against Chan-Ho Park, but 2 great ships in the night passed and barely missed each other, because at the end of your career, there was a Dodger pitcher who had pitched the previous inning named Clayton Kershaw. And so you missed by 1 inning facing Clayton Kershaw. And I wonder, I'm going to ask you about managing and everything like that. It's been 540 games since you first got the job in 2015. But what do you remember about the end, as far as 2008 being a player and Kershaw on the way, and now you've got Kershaw here? What memories come back to you as far as, we were talking about Dodgers and Giants rivalry?
Well, I think that I was coming off the bench. It was my last game as a Giant, and so if Clayton was still pitching, I don't think Bruce Bochy would have had me taking that bat, so I probably wouldn't have hit. So Chan-Ho was pitching, and I got a base hit, but I do recall hearing a lot about this young pitcher named Kershaw that had a lot of potential. So to see him from the other side and now to be on the same team, it's fun for me to watch the day-to-day, to watch him grow.
Now, at that point, it's kind of like, I guess a star is born because Kershaw's Lady Gaga, he's going to be the big star. You at age 36, it's over, you're at the crossroads, you don't know what's going to happen.
Wasn't Bradley Cooper, no.
At the end of your playing career, you've had success, World Series star and everything like that. How did you get to this point? Because if you're a little kid, I would imagine you would dream to be a major league player, but not everybody, oh, one day I'd love to be a major league manager. How did that come about for you?
Yeah, I think that it was it's certainly not a part of my my master plan or thoughts as a youngster playing all sports. I played kind of everything that counts: football, basketball, baseball. Baseball something that came easy for me, and I wanted to use it and leverage that to get an education. And so I went to UCLA, and you kind of want to get to each level and dominate that. And that's kind of how I've been raised and lived life, and not try to get too far out ahead of what your ultimately your goal or dream might be. And so you get drafted, and you kind of go through the grind, and you're a big league ball player, you want to succeed and take care of your family and perform well. And then as you kind of get to that point where you're at the end of your career, you start mentoring players and talk more of the game within the game with coaches. And so that kind of opened that up. But then I did some broadcasting, some front office stuff, and just felt that I wanted to be on the field, and being a part of a team in the clubhouse is where my passion was. And then you kind of go through that progression and ultimately get an opportunity. So it's not something I really kind of try to position myself for by any means, but where I'm at right now, I couldn't be happier.
And then right over there where that pillar was, I can remember November 23, 2015, that there's a press conference announcing Dave Roberts is going to be the new manager of the Dodgers. And I wonder, tell me the images that you remember from that day, as far as, was there any nervousness, the family, when you look back as far as sort of that first day of school, a whole new routine, and you're suddenly going to be the face of the franchise, and they've been in the playoffs so many times, and now you're going to be the one. What was that day like for you?
The first thing that comes to my mind is my father, who's no longer with us. I know he was very proud, and seeing my kids, my son, my daughter, my wife, very proud, and then seeing Don Newcomb, Tommy, Maury Wills, my old teammate Sean Green, and just seeing what the Dodgers franchise meant to me and this great fan base in the city of Los Angeles. A little bit the responsibility, a little bit of excitement. So there's a lot of emotions. Not trying to do everything in one day, understanding that it's a process, and trying to get people to kind of learn who I am, learn the organization, the players, coaches, front office, ownership, the fans, and so it's been obviously a long process, but it's been a fun journey, it really has.
Then last night was your 540th regular season game as manager, and I wonder, after all that time, what's the biggest surprise about being a manager that maybe you didn't realize you'd have to learn along the way? Something that you didn't either realize or something that surprised you about the job?
I think you've got to have thicker skin than you think you have. I think that's probably, that's probably it. It's a relentless job. There's a lot of people you have to deal with on a daily basis. But I think ultimately, I love, everyone's got to have opinions, and that's great. But I think for me personally, to keep clarity on keeping this thing going forward and winning baseball games, you got to have thick skin. So I think that's something that we got to kind of keep moving.
Now, the history, 130 years, everything on the walls, but now tonight, also there's going to be a new chapter in history. A catcher, Will Smith, is going to make his major league debut. In a few hours, you're going to go downstairs to the clubhouse, and I'm sure at some point you'll have some sort of talk with him to try to keep him under control. What is that like when you know the kid is just, he's got to play a game, but you know his heart has to be racing at 200 miles an hour? What is that type of conversation like?
It's just a lot of diffusing the moment, but still encouraging him to appreciate the moment and understand that nerves, that's normal, that's natural, that's a good thing. You know, I think the thing that we've done a good job as far as the Dodgers is young players, we bring them to Major League camp if they deserve it. And so that allows them to assimilate more with our language, philosophy on how we scout players, go about advancing and hitters and the signs and knowing the pitchers and things like that. So there's a comfort level to that. But I think that Will, as you guys will learn him, he's very calm, he's very confident. I don't know if he's shaving yet, so he's still got that baby face, but don't mistake that for toughness. He's one tough kid, and he's got a tremendous ability to receive. He's got a tremendous arm. He's a grinder, so he's going to fit in well. So we want Austin back, but this is a good little runway for Will.
Now, I've got to ask, 1999, what do you remember about your first Major League game with the Indians? Were you nervous? Were you shaving yet? Were you a grinder? What were you like?
I was shaving. I had a goatee. It wasn't gray at that point in time, so it was a good goatee. I was at Tropicana Field, and I was hitting leadoff for the Indians with Omar Vizquel, Robbie Alomar, Jim Thome in that lineup, Manny Ramirez. I mean, it was a great lineup. I remember being so nervous I could barely swing the bat my first at bat, so I got jammed and I hit it probably about 3 inches above my hands. It rolled to the pitcher, and I made my way back to the dugout. But my next at bat, I got a hit, and I got 3 hits that game. We won, so it was a good day. I remember being in Rochester, New York, getting the phone call from my manager, AAA manager, and my wife was on the trip, and we're jumping on the bed in the hotel room and just so excited, calling everybody, and so telling them to get to Tampa, and it was so that first moment for every player is something that's pretty special for everyone, not just the player themselves, but their families.
Now, speaking of families, you've got a pretty cool thing coming up on Friday, because not only is it your 47th birthday, but you're actually going to miss the game, and not because you've been suspended or anything as far as, you haven't done anything wrong. Why don't you let everybody know the occasion as far as why you're not going to be here on Friday?
Yeah, so Mark, it's good that you do that, man. You know everything. No one's supposed to be out yet. My son is graduating from high school on Friday, and so I'm going to be out of pocket, no phone. The game's obviously going to be on, but I'm going to do my best to be present for him. And he's got a scholarship to play baseball at Loyola Marymount. And so, so Bob here is going to handle it, and Rick Honeycutt's going to take care of the pitching, and Ken Tamayo is going to start, and we're going to get a win and beat the Phillies on Friday.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. We talked about the milestone as far as Cole's graduation and your 47th birthday. This week was also a big anniversary for all big Dave Roberts fans, because, when you look at the outfield now, you've got Verdugo and Bellinger and Peterson, and how boring is that? They got strong arms, and they hit the ball hard, and they hit these monstrous line drives, and I know it's just got to be tough, because you probably would like to have 3 people like you as far as...
Absolutely not. They're a lot better than I was. So no, I like boring. That's good.
Well, this week is anniversary. You had 23 lifetime home runs in your career. You had 1 grand slam, and that anniversary was in May the 25th. Now the question is, he's got all this on his mind. He's got to figure out which car he's going to buy for his son for graduation. He's got to figure out, the lineups and everything like that. But maybe in his recesses as a player, do you remember your grand slam? I see you straining, like you so want to remember.
So,
you did hit a grand slam. I know you don't believe that.
I did hit a grand slam. Was it Kurt Schilling?
Close.
Was it in Toronto?
No, was it Arizona?
Was it Kurt Schilling?
No, Kurt Schilling is not going to like
Rick Helling.
Yes, it was Rick Helling.
Rick Helling in Arizona.
Yes,
That's right. That's right.
I just want to make sure, with everything going on as far as the weight of the world on your shoulders, you can still remember the details of your only grand slam.
Hey, you know what? So, Mark, you know a lot of facts, but I think you're mistaken. I think I have 2 grand slams.
Congratulations.
I'm getting on, I'm turning 47, so my memory might not serve me well. But I thought I had one in Toronto as a rookie at the Sky Hub. So you you might want to dig.
Oh, I'd be happy to. We'll make that tonight's pregame show. That'll point counterpoint.
Right.
Well, the other trivia, while going through at the library, the microfilm from your career, you missed out on Kershaw by an inning, but you actually faced a current Dodger during your career. Pitcher.
Could he be pitching tonight?
Could he be? Would you believe Rich Hill is so old? He faced Dave Roberts at Wrigley Field as a member of the Cubs in 2007.
Wow.
Now I know the drama. You're going to wonder how did this Titanic matchup, Dave Roberts and Rich Hill, come out? I'm sure you're wondering that too.
I am, and I think that you might have an answer.
Yes, you have no idea. That's okay. After making the first 3 outs, you got a bunt single in the 8th inning, and so
And was he yelling at Dusty Baker?
Most likely,
there was a shift. Or
I'm sure there was a problem. But that was interesting to see. And the day before, you had a 3-hit game against the Dodgers, and also playing in that game
against the Cubs.
No, against the Dodgers.
Against the Dodgers.
The day before, Matt Kemp and Russell Martin also. So it's amazing to look at a box score when you see Dave Roberts, Matt Kemp, and Russell Martin all playing and being productive in those games. Now we have an alumni game coming up on Saturday, and you're going to play. And I wonder what it is like for you. You've got, you're behind the desk. You're so important. You've got all the launching the codes and everything in terms of all power comes to you. But what does it feel like when you actually try to hit the ball and you're trying to be a player again? What happens? What are we going to see? A preview on Saturday?
You're not, don't make your expectations very low. This is something that I'm doing for Steve Brenner, who works with the Dodgers, and my choice would be to sit behind the desk or sit in the stands and watch the alumni game. So my body hurts when it moves too quickly. So I'm going to go up there and take a couple at bats. And actually, last year they stuck me at first base, and I told myself I just wanted to get out there and take a couple at bats. Took an at bat against Fernando Valenzuela, Oral, and somebody hit a ball down the first base line, and wasn't very smart of myself that I dove, tried to make the play, and to this day, to this minute, my shoulder still hurts. So I think I tore my labrum, and it just, I don't know what I was thinking. So suffice to say, I won't be diving this game on Saturday.
Well, I'll be very excited to have you, but I wonder how much do you still miss playing? Because I wonder the difference between when you're in the batter's box, you're in control in terms of the pitcher, you can make something happen. Was it hard for you to become a manager and to just sit there when you're used to being a player and moving around?
Well, I think that I actually love coaching and managing, but I think the thing is for coaches is you have to get to the point where you know you're done. And so once you realize that and you have a piece with that, then you can move forward and teach and still appreciate how difficult the game is. And understand that it's always got to be about the current players. The game is about them. And so I have no desire to play anymore. I gave it everything I had while I was playing. So for me right now, as a coach, to be able to teach, and there's, as a player, a lot of it is focused on your individual success and performance. Whereas a coach or manager, you have a different lens that you look through things and try to keep this whole operation together and moving in the same direction. And so there's a little bit more of satisfaction, I think, for me personally in that. But to play 10 years in the big leagues, that's something that I'm very proud of as well.
Now, when they look back at your playing career, the stolen base against Mariano Rivera, forever remembered by Red Sox fans, an incredible moment. But how about wearing a Dodger uniform, either as a player, as a broadcaster, as a manager? When you look back at this place, because you played here, what is something that pops into your mind? It doesn't have to be as a player, could have been as a manager, but some sort of moment where you look back and go, that was really cool.
Gosh, honestly, there's so many moments. I think the first thing that sticks out to me was first game of the World Series in 17. Early, I had my dad's ashes, and I went out to center field by myself, and then I sprayed his ashes in center field where I played. So that was something that I'll always kind of near and dear to me. My opening day with the Dodgers against the Giants in 2002. But honestly, every single day, and I tell my coach and players is essentially every day is right after the anthem, pitchers, guys are getting their warm-ups and getting ready for the game, and all the prep work before that day's game, and you guys are kind of filtering in the ballpark. There's a buzz going on. The game hasn't started yet. You got two teams getting ready to compete against one another. And just that piece that I have every day, the appreciation when I see Dodger Stadium, and I say, this is the best part of my day. And so just to see all the Dodger blue and to see this field so perfectly manicured and to see the history of all the great players that have played here, the great moments. So I never take a day for granted, and I think it reflects our players and how we play every single day. But even today, just driving into the ballpark, Vin Scully Way, and it's just, I see it, and you see at the turn, and it's like Dodger Stadium, and it's like, it's special every single day. So moments, you know, big home runs, a Muncie homer, there's a lot of different great moments. But I think the overarching thing is like to wear this uniform every day. I don't take it for granted.
Well, we've got a little time for questions, and I want to make sure that we don't have a microphone. So what I'll do is ask your question, I'll repeat it, and then we'll get the response from Dave. So, yes, sir.
You know, it's not, first of all, thanks for the last season you were with the team, but it's no secret that the back end of our bullpen is struggling. And is there any buzz going around over the top of those people still out there?
The question was about the bullpen, as far as the back end of the bullpen this year.
Yeah, you know what, I think that, you know what's funny is that I think if we look back at the last 4 years, if we were here today, at this time of year, there's always questions about the bullpen, always. And I think that in every team, outside of maybe one or two, a fan base, front office are having discussions about the bullpen, their individual bullpens. And so there's I think that it's always at the front of mind when you lose games late or something doesn't go right, where people kind of always gravitate towards something needs to be fixed with the bullpen. So to your question, yeah, we're always kind of looking to get better, internally trying to get our guys better. But I do believe that if you look at kind of even the internal or the on the surface numbers, our bullpen is not as bad as what people might think. And even after the 7th inning, I think our win-loss, I think we've lost 1 or 2 games after the 7th inning. So it's kind of, I totally understand the question and the kind of the pounding the pavement to kind of get Kimbrel, get Doolittle, and I get it. But I just kind of ask, there's a little bit of looking a little bit deeper, because I think that, again, we've had this conversation every single year. It's not exact science, but we're always trying to get better. But yeah, it's something that we definitely talk about, certainly.
Go ahead.
My name is Lori Ackerman. This is really an expression of gratitude. I've been a lifelong Dodger fan and coming to such a And on September 22nd, 2017, I had a massive heart attack. And it was because of our team, the Dodgers, that I was able to get well enough to come to that World Series. And I just want to say thank you, because it was a perfect heart attack.
Well, that's a special, thank you for sharing that. And so she was praising the organization for helping her recover through her heart attack in 17. And I will say this, is that something that I impress upon our players is we have a responsibility to play the game a certain way. And it's a toughness, a grittiness. And so, you know, wins and losses are going to happen, and I'll bet on the talent. We win more than we lose. But I think that day to day, these are things that you guys pay good money to support us, and you're talking about generations and moments with family. And that's something that really resonates with me, so thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Roberts, thank you very much for being with us today. It's a real honor and pleasure for me to be here today and share this moment with you. I have two questions, actually. Don't care about it. The season isn't a third. Things are going to change between now and game 162. But I'd like to know what was your most, as a player, as a manager, from the minor leagues, high school, whatever it was, through the majors and management of the team. What was your most hilarious moment and most comical, the thing that you just fall over laughter about as you think about it to this day? And secondly, that issue of baseball today. It's a kid's sport. It's been around for 120 plus years. I'm a purist when it comes to baseball. If you could change one thing in Major League Baseball, what would it be?
All right.
I'll let you answer question one.
I'll go with question one first. Question one. Fortunately for me, I don't recall any bloopers, but I do recall something that I'm pretty embarrassed about is I struck out 4 times in one game, one time in my career. And it was in AAA, and I was playing for the Buffalo Bisons, and we had a doubleheader that day. And so we had a bunch of different uniforms and hats, and so this first game of the doubleheader, I struck out 4 times, and I was really upset. We lost, and an hour later we start the next game, and I proceed to wear the same top and same hat for the next game. And so I go out there, take center field, and an inning goes by, and then everyone's kind of looking at me, and I'm still pissed about the first game. And it's like the 3rd inning, and they're like, "Doc, you're wearing the wrong uniform." And I was like, and then everyone, and I just start busting up laughing, and I'm embarrassed, and no one, it's like kind of no one wants to say it. It's like a no-hitter. No one wanted to say anything to me, so then I started laughing, and so it was just kind of, for me, it's like I was an outcast. I was kind of wearing a different uniform than anyone else. So that was kind of something that stood out to me. As far as one thing I would like to change in baseball, Major League Baseball right now.
Ban the DH.
Probably your Grand Slam in Toronto. We should probably add that to the record.
Yeah, add that to the history book. Is that there? Yeah, add that one. I got shorted 4 RBIs. What would I like to change? So, okay. So I'll start by saying that I'm a baseball purist as well. But I think that in baseball, I think that we in general in society are open to growth in other industries and other aspects of life. Parenting, whatever it might be. But I think in baseball, people hold on to baseball and the way the game was played 100, 200 years ago and are resistant to the change. And understanding that the viewership, the audience, with TV, with the athletes themselves, the economics of what pays players these days, the pace of play, all these things that are forcing the game to kind of change and not remain the same. So are there things that I don't agree with? Absolutely. Do I like the National League style of baseball? Yes. Is there a place to have a discussion, have the DH in both leagues to keep Justin Turner playing baseball in the big leagues for 5 or 6 more years as opposed to no DH when he's 37, 38? Can you make an argument? Yeah. Dude, I like having David Ortiz as my teammate who can hit home runs where he would have been out of the game 5 years prior because he couldn't play defense. Yep. The shifting, what causes guys to not be able to manipulate the bat? Paying for slug and home runs versus they just can't manipulate the bat. There's a lot of different, cart before the horse type discussions. So I'm going to think about that while we kind of finish up here. But I'm kind of being political right now, and I don't have an answer right now, to be quite honest.
Now we have time for one more in the very back, sirs.
Well, Dave, thanks for all you do for the Dodger organization. The question I have is, how do you approach the balance between data analytics, especially coming off playoff time, and all how you approach different this year versus
Yeah, you know what, I think that it's a balance. It really is. It's certainly a balance. And I think any person in any position of leadership, you want as much information, as much input as they can get to ultimately make a decision. And so that's no different for me. But there are things that I know that the fan doesn't know as far as how a player's going or feeling or what we're going through internally that doesn't need to be divulged. And so it's kind of my job to still make a decision that I feel is best for the organization and live with whatever outcome. And so I'm not gonna, I can't go into so much, but I think that to your question, it's a collaborative, there's a lot of information, but ultimately I take responsibility for all the bad that happens. I got no problem.
All right, well, I think that's all the time we have for, and I think that I want to make sure that people realize the great storyline that is Dave Roberts, nearly 20 years old now, and just imagine 2002, our guest didn't seem to have a chance to make the team. A number 6 on the hit parade in spring training and just kept plugging away. That term grinder was not invented yet. He used that later, but that's exactly what he did. So a self-made player, somebody that's turned into a great manager and a great representative of the Dodgers. And so you always root for good guys, and this is definitely one of the great guys. So let's all hear it for Dave Roberts.
I'll tell you, thank you guys so much for all you guys do for our organization, really. You guys, I say it's about the players, it's as equally about the fans and you guys. So to come out here and spend your hard-earned money to support us night in and night out, talk about the Dodgers, the jerseys and all that stuff, that's why you guys are the best fans in all baseball. That's why we win games here, because we want to perform for you guys. So we couldn't do it without you guys. So really, thank you guys from the players. Thank you.
And I'm going to call Ashley back up while I do my research on Toronto Blue Jay Grants.
Well, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was really cool. Really glad they did this. Good time. Spent plenty of time with Roberts. People got to ask questions. So I still have a lot of time left. I can't get in the stadium for another well, I mean, I'm in here now, but I have to leave. Can't get in for another 3 hours, so I'm gonna go find something to do. They're prepping the field for tonight, and I will catch up with you guys a little later.